Lascan Corda, I firstly want to go back to the statement made in this debate by Deputy Pádraig McLaughlin and to say that I support entirely that statement, that comment in relation to Europe and the need, I suppose, for a common sense approach. I do so because I often follow seafoods, John Shine Seafoods in Donegal, Wild Irish Tuna, and I watch carefully the mapping that he puts up on social media of the foreign huge vessels that come within the Irish waters or close to it and fish, to the detriment of our own fishing industry here. And I think that needs to be looked at, because he is an example of an Irish company that has built a great enterprise based on seafood and distribution of seafood and products throughout the country. So Deputy McLaughlin is correct in what he has had to say. I am pro-European, but I'm afraid Europe, for me, has moved in a way that has gone away from the people. And the bureaucracy that is created in Europe is frightening. And over the last 10 years, it has become worse and worse. And the examples are before us every day in this House. For example, farming and agriculture. I have never seen anything like the amount of paperwork and bureaucracy that farmers have to fill out, particularly small family farms, to suit the Department of Agriculture, who in turn are suiting the European Union. I know records have to be kept. I know there has to be transparency and accountability, but there also has to be common sense. And I would say that in that regard, Europe has gone way too far and has not brought the farmers in this country with them, in spite of the fact that Europe has been good to farmers in terms of grants and so on. But as I say, the voice of elected representatives are not being heard in Europe. And it's more of a bureaucracy and a friendship with the civil service here in Ireland that has allowed that train to get ahead of itself. So we need to do something about that. And actually, the 7th of June is the first chance people have. So forget the colour of the candidates or the jerseys they're wearing. And I would say to the Irish people, vote for the person that you believe will represent you best in Europe, that has the ability to represent, that has the ability to stand up, that understands how Ireland needs to be protected and represented, and not to elect nodding dogs that will just see through the bureaucratic decisions that are being made out there. We benefited in trade and commerce as well. We have an open market. I've seen that at first hand. And I've seen how it has benefited the sector that I was involved in terms of transport. And companies here punching way above their weight and getting into huge companies in Europe and indeed beyond. And you're using Europe as a foothold to get into Asian markets and markets that we would never have dreamed of participating in before. Social enterprise has also been supported by Europe. And the LEADER programme is something that is, I think, a great example of Europe at work, delivering at local level and serving communities. And that really is what it's all about, serving communities and farming. The Green Agenda, I don't know where they're going with the Green Agenda. They're certainly, in terms of Europe, trying to stuff it down our necks here, and we're doing more than enough as a small country to deal with that, and at the same time ensure that enterprises, whether it's trade and commerce or whether it's agriculture, are able to be kept afloat in the context of doing business in a common sense way. So someone needs to have a look at the structure of Europe, the bureaucracy of Europe, and the decisions that are made that will affect all of our lives. We discussed one of them actually here last week. We discussed the political person's report, which was carried out by the Finance Committee. All of that bureaucracy is coming directly from Europe. every bit of it. And most of it was decided upon or steered through by that bureaucratic structure, with the nod given to it by public representatives in Europe. And I would question the role of public representatives out there, that they couldn't deliberately and consciously influence that particular piece of regulation that is now being imposed on us. I accept that there's a need to deal with the issues contained in the political exposed persons regulations, but there is no common sense to an awful lot of it. And the consequences of it affect wide-ranging. They are wide-ranging in terms of local and national government and families. And that's down to overreach of bureaucracy. And if, as the official said, that everyone is going to be judged by that same standard, then I actually fear for the Irish people and for the freedom of people to do the business in the way, their business in the way that they want to do it, without being classified as criminals. So foreign policy has been spoken about as well. And I question this whole thing about Taiwan, and I'm chairman of the Taiwan-Ireland Friendship Group. Europe has an office in Taipei. It is manned by those that want to promote Ireland abroad. 24 million people in Taipei. And yet Ireland is not represented there. It did have an office, and they closed the office back in the crash in 2008. So Germany, France, Italy, and a lot of the bigger companies not only are represented there, but they have their own offices there, are trading with Taiwan, are not afraid to say that they're trading with Taiwan. But yet, here in Ireland, you hear about the One China policy. Well, I observe the One China policy, fine, it's there. But why shouldn't Ireland stand up with its European partners, open the office in Taipei, and do what they should be doing for the Irish diaspora that live there, and indeed for the businesses that are engaged in enterprise through Taiwan into China and on to Asia. There is no political courage in this country to shake off some of the shackles of the European Union and to do the business in an open and transparent way in line with our European partners. So there should not be one rule for them and another rule for us. Haven't heard in this House since the election of the President of Taiwan and the Vice President, heard anybody stand up, any of our ministers, foreign minister, to compliment that democracy and the achievement of electing their own public representatives, or its own government. I heard nothing about assistance to be given to Taiwan in relation to the earthquake there recently. Nothing. But yet, Taiwan gave a significant amount of equipment and the PPP and during COVID, and it was spread around the country. And I want to acknowledge that here, and acknowledge the very fine work that office is doing here in Ireland. Migration is now the biggest issue of our day. And boy, have we made a mess of it. And I blame the Minister, I blame the Cabinet. It was the messiest business I have ever seen conducted in this place. It's a total secret. So none of us know what's happening, really. And we're told that there may be many groups coming to different parts of the country. But the local community doesn't know. The county councils don't know. The agencies don't know. And we are causing a huge divide in Irish society by not recognising the fact that this government was wrong, that they're now not trusted on the issue, and there seems to be no end to finding a solution to the problems that they have created. And I would ask that we would pause, that we would look at the structures that are in place, that we would improve them, that we would recognise those that are under pressure in Irish society by the movement of people, and it is causing distress and trauma for many. And I would ask that that would be investigated, looked at, and that local communities would not be forced without consultation to carry a burden that is simply too much for them. And again, that goes back to political courage to do the right thing, protecting our sovereignty, protecting the people that we represent, while at the same time honouring, to the extent that we can, our international obligations. But it's gone too far. And the discussion that we had at the Justice Committee, or that was had at the Justice Committee, is nothing but it doesn't mean anything. It was discussed. And the only thing that that committee can say to this Dáil is that we considered what was before us. And I hope that the Dáil debate on the issue of migration and the pact will be open and transparent, will be honest, and will recognise that Irish people are willing to assist, but they've had enough of not knowing and have enough of being kept in the dark.